Maybe this feels familiar. You're sitting there, staring at a phone that hasn't lit up in days, maybe weeks, and every hour feels heavier than the last. You replay everything in your head. The last conversation, the last look she gave you, the moment you felt her slipping away. And you keep thinking, how did something that felt so real disappear this fast? If this is you, you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're just a man who gave a damn. And right now, you're living in the space that hurts more than heartbreak itself. The uncertainty, the not knowing, the silence that feels like it's screaming at you. Maybe you keep asking yourself questions you can't escape. Did she ever really love me? Did I push too hard? Was I not enough? Is she gone for good? And the worst part, it's not the breakup. It's the moments after, when your mind becomes your biggest enemy. Because there's this version of you that's logical, that tells you, bro, just move on. It's done. And then there's the version that wakes you up at 3 a.m. because you thought you heard her text tone, that checks her profile, even when you promised yourself you wouldn't, that still feels her presence in places she hasn't been in months. If this is you, you probably feel stuck between holding on and letting go, and both hurt just the same. Maybe you've tried to distract yourself, gym, work, friends, scrolling, pretending, but no matter what you do, there's always that one moment in your day where it hits you again like a wave you didn't see coming. The memory, the fear, the what if. Maybe you're tired of pretending you're fine. Maybe you're tired of telling everyone, I'm good, when the truth is, you don't even recognize the man you've become since she left. If this is you, hear this clearly. You're not broken. You're not unlovable. You're in a chapter you were never prepared for. A chapter that forces a man to sit with his thoughts, his mistakes, his emotions, and his fears. And the silence she's giving you right now, it plays tricks on you. One minute you think she's moved on and forgotten you. The next, you're wondering if she's waiting for you to reach out. One part of you wants to fight for her. Another part of you is terrified of looking desperate. If this is you, you're carrying more than just heartbreak. You're carrying confusion, rejection, and the pressure to figure it all out when you barely have the strength to get through the day. And here's the truth no one tells you. It's not just that she left. It's that she left while you still loved her. That does something to a man. It sits in your chest like a weight you can't set down. And sometimes it makes you believe the lie that she's never coming back, because accepting that feels easier than hoping again. But before you let that thought become your reality, before you let your mind convince you it's over forever, you need to hear something, because there's one thing men never realize in the moment she pulls away. One thing that changes everything once you understand it, and once you see it, you'll never look at her silence the same way again. So before you decide she's gone for good, ask yourself this: what if the story you've been telling yourself isn't the truth at all? If you're watching this right now, it's because a part of you still hopes, and another part of you is exhausted from hoping. And that's exactly where most men get this situation wrong. They think the pain means they've lost control. They think the silence means she has all the power. But that's not how this really works. Not at all. Let me talk to you with the calm authority you probably haven't had in your ear lately. The tone of a man who's been through this, who understands the emotional storm you're in, and who knows exactly what's happening beneath the surface. Right now, you're operating from fear. Fear of losing her forever. Fear that you weren't enough. Fear that she's already moved on. Fear that you're about to get replaced. That fear makes men do the exact things that push her further away. Reaching out too soon, over-explaining, apologizing for things that weren't even wrong, trying to prove your worth, or worst of all, putting her on a pedestal she never asked to be on. When you're in that mindset, you forget one fundamental truth. A man who feels powerless becomes unattractive, not because he's bad, but because he loses himself. And this is the part most men refuse to accept. She didn't pull away because you weren't enough. She pulled away because you lost connection with the parts of yourself that made you magnetic in the first place. The grounded version of you, the self-respecting version of you, the version of you that moved with direction, not desperation. Women don't walk away from men they feel safe with. They walk away from men who lose themselves in the relationship. That's masculine principle number one. You can never let a woman's presence or absence dictate your identity. When she pulled away, your emotional reaction took over. Instead of stabilizing yourself, you reacted from the wound. You made her the center of your emotional world. And once you do that, she stops feeling the strength in you that allowed her to lean on you in the first place. The second masculine principle is this: a man's value is proven through his baseline, not his panic. Women read your baseline like a radar. Your baseline is who you are when life isn't going your way. Your baseline is how you carry yourself when you feel uncertain. Your baseline is the tone you lead with when you're not getting what you want. And right now, most men's baseline is chaos. They think, she's gone, I have to do something. No. When your emotions say react, your focus should shift to reflect. That's what calm masculine authority looks like. Not force, not chasing, not scrambling, but clarity. Let me tell you something most men never hear. Her silence is not a verdict. It's data. It shows you where her emotional capacity is. It shows you the pattern she's in. It shows you how much the dynamic was out of balance. And instead of fighting that, your job is to understand it. When you think she's never coming back, your mind starts painting worst-case scenarios. You imagine her forgetting you, replacing you, getting happier without you. But here's something that might surprise you women. Don't forget the men they once felt deeply connected to. They don't just turn off their emotions like a switch. They feel, they think, they remember. But they also respond to strength, not longing. And that's where most men fail. They try to pull her back with emotion instead of composure. They try to remind her of what they had instead of reminding themselves of who they are. Listen closely. A woman will come back to a man she respects long before she ever comes back to a man she feels sorry for. The calm, grounded, collected version of you is 10 times more powerful than the emotional, reactive version. But you haven't been operating from that place. You've been operating from fear, scarcity, and the belief that she's the one in control. She's not. The situation isn't. Your emotions aren't. You just forgot your own center. The moment you stop trying to win her back and start working on regaining your baseline, everything shifts. You stop chasing. You stop overthinking. You stop interpreting every silence as rejection, because you're no longer reacting like a man who's afraid. You're responding like a man who understands the bigger picture. Let me give you a perspective you probably haven't considered. A woman feels safer coming back to a man who can live without her than one who collapses without her. Not because she wants you to suffer, but because your emotional independence creates trust. It shows her you're not relying on her to stabilize your world. It shows her you're choosing her, not needing her. And that difference changes everything. Most men think winning her back is about strategy, timing your messages, saying the right thing, doing the right gesture. No, winning her back, if she ever comes back, is the result of you becoming a man she can trust again with her emotions, her respect, and her heart. And that starts with you regaining calm authority. So before you assume she's gone forever, step back and ask yourself something much more powerful than, will she come back? Ask yourself, when she looks back at me one day, will she see the version of me she left, or the man who grew because she left? It starts on a night that looks like every other night since she left, but somehow feels heavier. You're alone in your room. The lights are off except for the soft blue glow from a screen you're not even watching. The world outside your window is completely still. No cars, no voices, not even wind. Just a kind of quiet that presses against your chest like a weight. Your phone sits on the table beside you face down. You turned it over so you'd stop checking it. But somehow, flipping it face down only made you more aware of it. Like a heartbeat you're trying too hard not to hear. You run your thumb along the edge of the screen anyway, just in case. Just in case a message showed up, just in case she finally said something, just in case the silence broke. It never does. And tonight, something inside you cracks in a way you can't ignore anymore. You lean forward, elbows on your knees, hands in your hair. For the first time, you let the truth hit you without fighting it. She might really be gone. You swallow hard, but your throat feels tight. Then tighter. That familiar burning sits right behind your eyes, and you force it back because you've spent enough nights falling apart. Enough nights replaying the same memories like a movie you didn't ask to watch. Still, the memories come anyway. You remember the smell of her hair when she hugged you from behind, the way she laughed with her whole face, the warmth of her hand in yours when she was nervous, the softness in her voice the night she said she felt safe with you. You remember the last time you saw her, her arms crossed, her eyes glossy but determined, her voice trembling just enough for you to hear her pain, but not enough for her to admit it. You remember trying to reach for her, and her stepping back, like touching you would break her resolve. And then you remember the door closing, and how that sound echoed in your chest long after it stopped echoing in the room. You're back in your chair now, staring into nothing, and you whisper something to yourself. Something you've whispered 100 times, but never out loud. Why wasn't I enough? The question hangs in the air like smoke, heavy, dark, lingering. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks, a car passes by. Life moves on without asking how you feel about it, but your world is stuck in one moment, one memory, one person. You get up and pace the room, each step slower than the last. Your mind plays scenes without permission. Her head on your chest, her fingers tracing circles on your arm, her smile when she saw you walk in, her voice saying, "I'm glad you're here." Then it plays the other scenes, her silence, her distance, her looking away when you tried to look in her eyes, her saying, "I just need space." You remember the exact second you realized you were losing her, not because of something she said, but because of something she stopped saying. The softness faded, the warmth dimmed, the "I miss you" disappeared. You noticed it before she did, and that made it hurt even more. Your chest tightens again. You walk toward the window, pull the curtain slightly, and stare outside. The streetlights look blurry through the glass, like the world is smudged. You take a deep breath, but even your own breath feels unfamiliar, as if you're breathing for a version of yourself you don't fully recognize anymore. Then something strange happens. As you stand there in the dim, quiet room, your mind shifts. For the first time, you see yourself as if you were watching a scene in a movie. The lonely guy staring out the window, hoping for a sign that won't come. The silence doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels reflective, raw, human. You imagine narrating the scene. A man stands alone, believing the story he told himself, that she's never coming back. And suddenly that thought hits differently. Because it doesn't sound like a fact, it sounds like a belief, a fear, a wound, not the truth. You turn around and look at the room, the messy bed, the half-open closet, the faint glow of notifications that aren't from her. The whole place looks like a battlefield after the fight is over. You sit back down and stare at your phone again, but this time something inside slows down, calms, settles. You pick it up, hold it, turn it over. Still nothing, but instead of panic, something else rises in your chest, something you haven't felt since long before she pulled away. Awareness, not about her, about you. You never noticed how much of yourself you gave away just trying to keep the connection alive. You never noticed how you shrank, softened, bent, twisted, not because she asked you to, but because you were terrified of losing her. And now, standing in the ruins of that fear, you see it clearly. She didn't walk away from the real you. She walked away from the version of you that forgot his own strength. The room feels different now, still quiet, still dim, still empty. But your breath feels heavier and steadier, like something inside you just unclenched. You lean back, close your eyes for a moment, and let the silence settle around you. You don't fight it this time. You let it speak, and in that silence a thought comes to you. Not loud, not dramatic, but honest. Maybe she's not gone forever. Maybe I'm just not the man she left anymore. You open your eyes. It's not hope. It's not denial. It's something deeper. A calm realization that this story isn't finished. Not because of fate or timing or what she feels, but because you're finally beginning to understand something you've never seen clearly before. You pull in one more slow breath. And for the first time in a long time, the question pounding in your chest isn't, "Is she ever coming back?" It's a quieter, more powerful one. When she sees me again one day, will I even be the version of me she walked away from? Most men who think she's never coming back are trapped in a story they didn't even realize they were telling themselves. A story built on fear, not truth. And right now, I want to wake you up from that story, not by shaming you, but by showing you what you've never been told. Because there are a few beliefs you're carrying that are quietly destroying your confidence, your direction, and your ability to see this situation clearly. And when a man sees truth, real truth, everything changes. Let's start with the first false belief, Zander. If she hasn't reached out, it means she doesn't care. You've convinced yourself that silence equals indifference, that if a woman isn't texting, calling, or checking on you, it must mean you never mattered. But that belief is built on your fear of abandonment, not on how women actually operate. Women don't move on the way men think they do. They don't forget you overnight. They don't just shut off their emotions and skip into a new life. Silence isn't the absence of feeling. It's the absence of clarity. Sometimes she pulls away not because she's done, but because she's overwhelmed. Sometimes she needs distance not because she's cold, but because she feels too much and doesn't know what to do with it. And sometimes silence is simply her way of waiting to see if you will settle back into your strength. You interpret her quiet as rejection. But often, it's actually reflection. Remember this line, it might hit you later when you need it. Her silence is loud, but not always final. Here's the second false belief men carry. If I had done everything right, she wouldn't have left. No, brother. That's the story you tell yourself because you think control equals safety. You believe that if you were more perfect, more calm, more understanding, more romantic, more as something, she would have stayed. But relationships don't work like math equations. You can't perform your way into being loved, and you can't stop a breakup by sacrificing parts of yourself. Women don't leave because a man wasn't perfect. They leave because a man stopped being himself. They leave when the emotional polarity shifts, when the trust in your presence fades, when the man they were drawn to becomes a man driven by fear, insecurity, or emotional volatility. You think it's because you weren't enough. But the truth is much simpler. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. And that hits hard because deep down, you know it's true. You stopped showing up as the man you were in the beginning, the man with direction, boundaries, confidence, and his own life. The man who didn't orbit around her, but walked beside her. When you lost that version of yourself, the relationship lost its balance, and she felt it, even if she couldn't explain it. Now let's talk about the third belief, the one that keeps you stuck in anxiety, regret, and overthinking. The sighs, if she doesn't come back, I'll never feel this way again. This belief makes you cling to her like she's your only chance at love, peace, or happiness. It makes you desperate. It makes you overlook the truth, the version of you that existed with her wasn't even your final form. You were growing. You were learning. You were evolving. Even when you didn't realize it, the version of you who loved her was real, but the version of you who survives losing her, that man is stronger, deeper, sharper, more grounded. You're not going backwards. You're becoming. She might come back. She might not. But the belief that I'll never feel this again is a lie built out of fear of the unknown. You don't grow through comfort. You grow through loss, through reflection, through rebuilding your identity from the ground up. You won't just feel this way again. You'll feel it with more strength, more clarity, and more self-respect next time, whether with her or someone else. Let this line sit with you. The pain you're feeling isn't proof she was the one. It's proof you were finally awake. Now that you see these false beliefs for what they are, something inside you should be shifting. You should feel a little more breathing room in your chest, a little more clarity in your mind, a little more strength in your spine. Because the moment you stop believing you lost everything is the moment you start realizing what you still have: your identity, your direction, your energy, your ability to rebuild, your ability to attract, not chase, your ability to grow beyond who you were when she walked away. This situation isn't here to break you. It's here to reveal you. And the biggest truth of all, the truth men rarely see until much later, is this: you haven't even met the version of yourself she might come back to. But when you do, you'll understand why losing her wasn't the end. It was the awakening. The 1% headman doesn't panic when she pulls away. He stabilizes. He doesn't attach his worth to her silence, because he knows distance is data, not a death sentence. This is what he understands: a man's power comes from who he is when everything feels uncertain. Instead of chasing reassurance, he becomes the reassurance. Instead of needing her to return, he becomes a man she would want to return to. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure, by holding his center, trusting his path, and remembering that the strongest magnet in any relationship is a man who never abandons himself. It hits him in the quiet, not with a shout, but with a shift. He's sitting alone, staring at the same phone that once controlled his heartbeat, when something inside finally exhales. For the first time, he sees himself clearly, not as the man who was left, but as the man who survived it. His shoulders drop. His breath deepens. The tension he carried begins to loosen. And in that stillness, a realization rises like a whisper: I wasn't waiting for her. I was waiting for me. In that moment, he stops chasing closure and starts reclaiming his worth, quietly, powerfully, fully. So if you're still wondering whether she'll ever come back, remember this: it was never the silence that broke you. It was the story you told yourself inside it. You thought you were losing her, but the truth is you were losing sight of yourself. And now that you see who you are again, you're no longer a man waiting for someone's return. You're a man rising into his own. Whether she comes back or not, you've already crossed the line that matters. Because the moment you stopped fearing the loss is the moment you became the man she could never forget.